Good morning. I'm very conscious that this morning we gather in grief and we gather in anger. Grief at the loss of a woman of passionate commitment, of integrity, imagination and generosity. And we gather in the presence of members of Lyra's family, who I ask you to welcome here today. We also gather with unashamed anger at the murder of an innocent worker. A worker killed because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Another worker used as collateral damage in a senseless act of political motivated violence and criminality. But we also gather, comrades, in hope. And on behalf of the National Union of Journalists, Lyra's Union, I thank you for your support over the last 2 weeks, and I know that Lyra's partner and family would wish me to do the same. In her short life, Lyra McKee sought new horizons, refusing, as any trade unionist should do, to accept that change is impossible. Lyra knew well what it was like to struggle against great odds, but she never lost hope. Lyra belonged to a new generation and sought to achieve change with love in her heart and without 1 ounce of hatred. She never stopped believing, because Lyra marched to the sound of a different drum. In her life, she experienced homophobia, gender discrimination, class distinction and institutionalized discrimination. To you who took her life, to you who killed our comrade, to those who supplied the gun, to those who exploited the alienation of young men living without the sense of purpose which propelled Lyra McKee, we have only one message. There is nothing new in what you have to offer. You do not represent our future. Lyra represented the future. You and your new ideology is in the past. Leave us to our future. Lay down your guns and look for a new path away from senseless violence. But mark me this, Lyra McKee faced many of the challenges which you face. Her community, like yours, was no stranger to suffering. Lyra's life shows what can be achieved when we look beyond the world of prejudice and preconception. It is a supreme irony that her death was caused by the exploitation of those who had much more in common with Lyra than they may ever realise. In condemning those responsible for the murder of Lyra McKee, it is important that we simply do not fall back on the rhetoric of denunciation. We must give those people reason to hope, to walk away from violence, and that requires political leadership. Yes, I accept that that means sitting around the table and talking, but it also means politicians listening. We in the trade union movement have long been shunted into the sidelines, and we demand today that our voices are heard. Our Better Work, Better Lives campaign provides a template for an inclusive society in which social dialogue is cherished. And we are not content in the coming weeks and months to be bit players in a meaningless political soap opera. The voices of workers, of victims, of long-suffering communities deserve to be treated with respect. Too many workers have had to wear the unrequested crown of martyrdom. Workers like my former branch colleague, Martin O'Hagan, so long a feature of the May Day rally in Belfast. And our message is clear. The violence must cease. There should be no more martyrs and no more victims. In her own work, Lyra shone a light on issues such as mental health, suicide, social exclusion, and discrimination faced by members of the LGBT community. We know that Lyra dreamed of getting married to Sarah. Lyra had been denied the right to grow old with Sarah. A killer stole that dream in Derry 2 weeks ago. But let us face another truth. Had Lyra lived, she would have been denied the right to marry Sarah in Northern Ireland. We can and will no longer tolerate that injustice on this island. We are not asking anyone to surrender any right. The granting of a civil right requires no sacrifice. It merely demands dignity, respect and acceptance. As our rainbow warrior, Lyra McKee rejected your faded flags and emblems and looked to a brighter day. She rejected those who, in the words of Paul Brady, sought to carve tomorrow on a tombstone. We are here today to offer the support to the LGBT community in their campaign for equal marriage. We have it within our gift to be the generation of trade unionists who secure change. We can be that change, we will be that change, and we will achieve it for Lyra. Gormina Mahatma.